kick bush like Lupe. Leg kicked out like the mama, that's how I shoot fades. Laced up in the box, now we looking like shoestrings. Fofo on my hip, say that he acting odd though. Sawed off under the seat, call it El Chapo. Hoes all over the place, looking like potholes. He dies when he dies, now I'm sounding like Drago. Always let them bury themselves, that's how you sense fakes. I always aim straight for the head, that's how you kill snakes. Blood all over the place, told you we didn't play. Arms stretched down on the floor, just like Jesus laid. Grain, villains.
All right, here we are. We've made it to part 5 of this 5-part series. And it honestly just feels like the other day I was doing episode 1 and then almost questioning doing the whole thing. But for everyone who's given any type of reaction to it, I appreciate you. All the positive reaction to it, thank you. And do me a favor, however you're listening to it, whatever platform, subscribe to the show and share the show for me. Because I've been in a battle with myself lately over the show. Because anybody who does anything like this, I've said it before, you want to do it, you want to put it out there, and then you like to pull up reports and you like to see numbers. You know, because anybody who does a podcast essentially does it, I don't want to say for attention, but basically for attention. And I know that this isn't the sound quality of anything else, but it's purposely done that way. I've gone the route of the expensive equipment to get the high quality sound, being on social media, to post everything, to share everything, to try to build a brand up. And the route for this one has completely been the opposite. Everything done basically straight from my phone. And no social media, except for what gets uploaded to Apple Podcast or Spotify or YouTube. As far as being on social media and sharing things on social media, I'm not doing that. And I know in 2026, it is pretty much, that's not a smart decision to go that route if you're wanting to build something like this. So on one hand, I'm fighting with myself on we got to find a way to get these numbers up, to get the name out there. And then the other side is battling with, that's not why we decided to do this again. We did this for basically just for us. And if it caught wind and anybody ran across it and listened, then that was the win we were going for. Because as much as I find time to do this, building a brand and all the things that go with it, you have to put in a lot of time. And I don't have a lot of time just to throw into the brand. So I guess with all of that's being said, if you're listening, I'm relying on you to share it and get it out there. But with this 5-part series of everything, I just thought that I'd throw it out there, and it works. It blends with the series, I guess, because as I'm doing all this, I'm battling myself on a bunch of things, and with this being one of them. Because like I said, man, I haven't been on on social media. It's going on 4 years now. No Instagram, Facebook, none of that. And that decision has been, if you haven't just taken a step back from social media for a long period of time, trust me, it's worth it. Mentally, you do not really realize how much just scrolling through it can just stress you out. So, with all that being said, and my ranting, let's get to part 5 of this 5-part series, which is basically going to be the championship mindset. So, what I want you to do for me is close your eyes for a second. I don't care where you are right now. If you're in your car, pull over. Do not do this while you're driving. If you're on the treadmill, if you're lying in the bed and it's 2 a.m. because sleep's not coming tonight, close your eyes and picture this with me. You're standing at the top of the ramp, the longest ramp you've ever seen. It stretches out in front of you like a runway, okay? Like a road, like the rest of your life laid out on one straight line. And at the end of that ramp is the ring. Lit up under the lights. The canvas is clean. The ropes are tight. The turnbuckles are padded. And in that ring, standing in the far corner, shadow boxing, loosening up, cracking its neck, is your opponent. You know this opponent. You fought this opponent before. 4 times, actually. 4 matches, 4 wars, and you're still standing. You're bruised, you're tired, you've got scars that nobody can see and some that everybody can, but you're standing. And tonight is the championship match. And then the pyro hits. The pyro's going off, the lights are flashing, the crowd is on their feet, every single person in that arena, and I mean every person who has ever loved you, every person who's ever believed in you, every person who's ever told you that you can make it, they are on their feet. They are screaming your name. Not because you've already won, but because you showed up. Because after everything, after the diagnosis, after the mania, after the depression, after the relationships that bent and broke and still had to be rebuilt, after all of that, you're walking down the ramp, you're climbing through the ropes, you're looking your opponent dead in the eye, and you're saying 3 words that change everything. I'm still here. I'm still here. So here we are, the finale, the end of the road, the main event, the WrestleMania moment, whatever you want to call it. This is it. We've been on a journey together, you and me. These last 5 episodes, there's 5 fights, 5 rounds, and the biggest battle most people will never understand. And if you're listening to this right now, if you made it here to this episode, to this moment, then I need you to hear me say this. You already won something. You've already proved something. Because you're still in the fight. You didn't tap out. You didn't stay down for the 3 count. You kicked out. Maybe at 1 or maybe at 2. Maybe at 2.5 with the referee's hand about an inch from the mat. But you kicked out. And that alone is the championship level performance. But here's the thing. And this is the whole reason we're here tonight. This is the thesis statement, the mission statement. The reason I've been building to this episode for, 4 weeks straight? Surviving is not enough. Now hold on. Before you come at me, let me explain. Surviving matters. Survival is sacred. If all you did today was survive, then you did something incredible. I would never ever diminish that. But I also refuse to let you settle for it. Because you deserve more than just not losing. You deserve to win. Not a fake fairy tale, everything is perfect kind of winning. I'm talking about the real kind. The earned kind. The kind of winning that comes from looking at an opponent who will never ever go away. An opponent who will be in that ring with you for the rest of your natural life and deciding that you're not just going to endure the match, you're going to control it. This is what this episode is about. That's the championship mindset. Not eliminating bipolar disorder because you can't. It's a lifetime opponent. This is no retirement match. This is no final bell. The ref is never going to hold your hand up and say it's over, you beat it. That's not how this works. And if somebody is telling you otherwise, they're working you. They're cutting a promo that sounds good but doesn't hold up in the ring. The championship mindset is this: I cannot beat this opponent permanently, but I can build a life where I am the champion despite this opponent being in the ring with me. I can learn the moves. I can counter its setups. I can see the finisher coming before it lands, and I can build a title reign, a life that is so strong, so resilient, so deeply rooted in purpose and preparation and people that no single episode, no single match, no single bad night can take the belt away from me. And that is what we're building tonight. So here's what I need from you. I need your full attention. I need your open heart. I need you to stay with me for this entire episode because this is a big one. This is the pay-per-view. This is the one where everything comes together. Every metaphor I've used, every framework I've built, every moment where I got raw and real and told you things I don't tell most people, it all converges here. You've been through the tournament. 5 matches, 5 episodes. Episode 1, you met the opponent. The diagnosis. The moment the doctor looked at you and said the words that changed everything. Episode 2, you went to war with mania. That beautiful, destructive, seductive liar that convinces you you're invincible right before it drives you off a cliff. Episode 3, you crawled through the darkness of depression, the submission hold that tried to make you tap out on life itself. In episode 4, you learned about the tag team. The people who stand in your corner, who reach their hand over the rope and wait for you to make the hot tag. And now episode 5, the main event, the championship. This is where we stop fighting to survive and start fighting to live. This is where you go from being a competitor to being a champion. This is where the inner heel turn becomes permanent. So let's go. All right. So before we get to rolling, I guess dive a little bit deeper into some things because this wasn't completely easy to make. All right. I'm not even going to pretend like I just sat down at the microphone and the words flowed out like water. No. Getting prepared and doing it dragged some things out of me. And it made me revisit rooms I'd locked the door on. It made me sit with memories I'd rather leave alone. And it made me admit things out loud that I usually only admit in the dark to myself when nobody's listening. But I did it. I did it because somebody out there needs to hear this. Somebody out there is sitting in a room right now feeling like they're the only person in the world fighting this fight. And somebody out there just got diagnosed and they're terrified. Somebody out there is in the middle of an episode right now and they don't know if they're going to make it tomorrow. Somebody out there has been living with this for 20 years and they're tired. I did it for them. I did it for you. And if one person listens to these 5 episodes and decides to stay in the ring, if one person hears my voice and thinks, okay, one more day, I can do it one more day, then every word, every tear, every sleepless night of writing was worth it. Every single word. Now that's enough of looking backward. It's time to look forward and get into the championship match. Let me ask you a question. And I want you to really sit with this one. Don't give me the quick answer. Don't give me the answer you think I want to hear. Give me the real answer. What are you doing right now with your life? And I don't mean right now as in this moment. I mean right now as in this season, this chapter. What's the game plan? What's the strategy? Because if you're like most people living with bipolar disorder, and I include myself in this because I've been there, the honest answer is surviving. That's it. The whole strategy is survival. Get through today. Don't let the episode win. Make it tomorrow. Wake up. Repeat. That's the game plan. That's the entire game plan. And listen, I'm not about to disrespect that. Survival mode is real, and survival mode it's necessary. There are seasons in your life where survival is the victory. When you're in the pit of a depressive episode and the only goal is to make it to the morning, survival is a championship performance. When mania has you going 100 miles an hour and the only goal is to not blow up your entire life before the crash, survival is elite level strategy. Survival kept you alive. Survival got you here, and nobody gets to tell you that survival does not count. But you knew the but was coming, right? You've been listening to this show long enough to know I always have a but. Look, you've been listening to this show long enough to know I always have a but. But you cannot live in survival mode forever. You can't. Your body can't take it. Your mind can't take it. Your spirit can't take it. Survival mode was designed to be temporary. It's the emergency protocol. It's the fire extinguisher behind the glass that says break in case of an emergency. It was never meant to be your default setting. And if you've been living in survival mode for months, for years, for your entire life since the diagnosis, then you're running an emergency protocol as your operating system. And eventually, something is going to crash. I need you to hear me on this. I'm not saying this to be hard on you. I'm saying this because I care about you. And caring about someone means telling them the truth, even when the truth is uncomfortable. The truth is, you deserve more than just not losing. You deserve to win. So what does that look like? What's the difference between surviving and thriving? Let me break it down in ways that make sense. Surviving is kicking out at 2. You know what I'm talking about. When someone hits you with their finisher and the referee counts 1 and 2 and you throw your shoulder up to the last possible second, that's surviving. You didn't lose, you stayed in the match, but you're flat on your back, you're hurting, and you're just reacting. You're not in control. You're just not done yet. Thriving is hitting your finisher. Thriving is setting the pace of the match. Thriving is working your game plan, calling your spots, dictating how the match flows. Thriving is the difference between being in a match and controlling a match. Think about the greatest champions in wrestling history. I'm talking about the legends, the icons, the people whose matches you can still watch 20 years later and they still hold up. What separates them from everybody else? It's not that they never got hurt. It's not that they never took bumps. It's not that they never had a bad night. What separates them is that even when things went wrong, even when they got busted open, or even when they got dropped on their head, even when the match went sideways, they controlled the narrative. They adapted. They adjusted. They turned every setback into a setup for the next big moment. They didn't just survive the match. They told the story. That's what surviving with bipolar disorder looks like. You don't eliminate the opponent. The opponent is always there, but you control the match. You set the tempo. You decide when to push forward and when to pull back. You know your opponent's moves so well that you can counter them before they land. And when something goes wrong, because something will go wrong, you adapt. You adjust. You keep the story going. Let's look at it into the NFL for a moment. Think about the greatest teams in NFL history. Think about the dynasties. What do they all have in common? They don't just react to what the defense gives them. They impose their will. They come in with a game plan, a detailed, studied, practiced game plan, and they execute it. They don't wait to see what happens and then respond. They dictate the terms of the contest. Now, do they make adjustments at halftime? Of course. Do they call audibles at the line when the defense shows them something unexpected? Absolutely. But the foundation is the game plan, the preparation, the system. That's what we're building tonight, a game plan, a system. Not a reaction plan, not what do I do when everything falls apart. We covered that in earlier episodes. Tonight we're building the life plan, the how do I live every day, not just the crisis plan. And I know. Some of you are scared right now. Some of you heard me say thriving and your stomach clenched up, because every time you've gotten your hopes up, something knocks you down. Every time you thought maybe things are getting better, an episode came crashing in like a steel chair to the back of the head. And so you learn to stop hoping. You learn to keep your expectations low. You learn to never let yourself dream too big, because the fall from big dreams is a long way down when your brain doesn't cooperate. I get it. I've been there. That fear isn't irrational. It's learned. It's a survival mechanism. Your brain learned that hope can be dangerous, so it stopped letting you hope. That's not weakness. That's your mind trying to protect you. But here's the reframe, and this is important, so lean in. Hope isn't the enemy. Unmanaged hope is. Wild, reckless, unstructured hope. The kind that says everything will be perfect from now on, yeah, that's dangerous. That's actually a symptom sometimes. Let's be real. But structured hope, informed hope, hope that's built on systems and support and self-awareness, that's not dangerous. That's a weapon. That's the most powerful weapon in your arsenal. We're not going to sit here and dream tonight. We're going to build. Dreams without systems are just wishes. And wishes don't win championships. But dreams with systems, dreams with plans, with routines, with people, with professional support, that's a contender. That's somebody who's going to be in this fight for the long haul and win more than they lose. So here's the mental shift I need you to make. And I'm not going to give it to you straight. Then you know I'm playing. I'm going to give it to you straight. The old mindset says, I have bipolar disorder and I'm trying to deal with it. The key word there is deal with it. Like it's a burden. Like it's a problem to be managed. Like your whole life is just one long damage control operation. The new mindset, the championship mindset, says, I have bipolar disorder and I'm building a life that accounts for it, works with it, and refuses to be defined by it. You hear the difference? The first one is reactive. The second one is proactive. The first one puts bipolar at the center and you're at the mercy. The second one puts you at the center and bipolar as one factor among many. You're not dealing with bipolar, you're living. You're living a life that includes bipolar disorder the same way an athlete lives a life that includes an old knee injury. Yeah, you've got to warm up a little longer. You've got to be smart about your workload. There's some days where the knee talks to you and you've got to listen, but you're still an athlete. You're still competing. You're still in the game. The knee doesn't get to define your career, and bipolar doesn't get to define your life. That's the shift. From passenger to driver, from victim to champion, from dealing with it to building with it. And everything else we talk about tonight builds on the foundation. So if you're with me, if you're ready to stop just surviving and start building a championship life, then stay right here, because we're about to lay the blueprint. So I need you to take some mental notes, or actual notes. Pause it if you need to, or rewind it. I don't care. But get this stuff into you, because this is the architecture. This is the blueprint. This is the system that turns a survival story into a championship run. And I want to start with something that might seem obvious, but most people overlook. Champions, they don't wing it. Let me say it again. Champions don't wing it. I don't care what sport we're talking about. NFL, NBA, boxing, MMA, college football. The people at the top of every single discipline have one thing in common. They train. They prepare. They have systems. Every single day isn't a question mark. They don't wake up and say, I wonder what I'll do today. They wake up and they know. They know what the workout is. They know what the film session looks like. They know what they're eating and when they're sleeping and who they're meeting with, not because they're robots, not because they've eliminated stuff from their lives, but because the structure is what allows them to perform when the lights come on. And you need systems too. Not because you're broken, not because you're defective, not because there's something wrong with you that needs to be constantly managed like a broken machine. You need systems because you're fighting a world-class opponent every single day. You're in the ring with something that has more tools, more tricks, and more experience than almost any other adversary a human being can face. And going into that fight without a system is like walking into the octagon without a game plan. You might survive a round or two, but eventually the opponent figures you out, and eventually the chaos wins. So we're going to build your system. I'm going to call it the 5 pillars. If the 5 count from earlier episodes was about getting through a crisis, the 5 pillars are about building a life. These are the structural supports that hold up your championship run. You pull 1 out, the building is weaker. You pull 2 out, it's shaking. You pull out all 5, it collapses. But if all 5 are standing strong, you can weather any storm. So pillar 1 is your mental health team, your coaching staff. And I'm putting this one first because it's the most important and the most neglected. So let me say something that needs to be said clearly, loudly, and without any room for misinterpretation. If you are living with bipolar disorder and you do not have a mental health professional, a therapist, a psychiatrist, a counselor, someone qualified in your corner, you are fighting this fight with one hand tied behind your back. Period. Full stop. End of discussion. I know the reasons. I've heard them all. I can't afford it. I don't have time. I tried it once and it didn't work. I don't trust therapists. I'm handling it on my own. I hear you. And I'm not dismissing any of those barriers. Some of them are real and they're serious and they're systematic. But I'm telling you, as someone who has been in this fight and as someone who has tried to do it alone, as someone who has learned the hard way, you need a team. This is not optional. This is not a luxury. This is not something you do when things get really bad. This is your coaching staff. And you don't wait until you're losing by 30 points in the fourth quarter to hire a coach. You have the coach from day one. Let's look at it in terms of MMA. Every fighter has a team. They've got a head coach. They've got a striking coach. They got a grappling coach. They got a nutritionist. They've got a strength and conditioning specialist. Nobody walks into that cage alone. Even the most naturally talented fighter in the world wouldn't dream of competing without a corner team. So why do you think you can fight bipolar disorder solo? And here's the other thing. This is crucial. Treatment is not get fixed and stop going. It's not like taking your car to the mechanic and, oh, they tuned it up, it's good now, I'll be back in a year. No, mental health treatment, especially for bipolar disorder, is ongoing. It's continuous. It's like a training camp that never ends. Your coaching staff isn't there to fix you. They're here to help you train, to adjust, to evaluate, to prepare for the next match. Your medication might need adjusting. Your coping strategies might need updating. Your understanding of yourself is always evolving, and you need professionals who evolve with you. If you're struggling to access mental health care, and I know many of you are, please look into community mental health centers, sliding scale therapists, telehealth options. There are resources out there. They may not be perfect. The system may be broken, but getting some support is always better than getting none. So start somewhere. Your corner team is always waiting. Pillar 2 is your routine, the championship routine. And I already know some of you just rolled your eyes. Here we go. Another person telling me to wake up at 5 a.m., drink a green smoothie, and journal for an hour. No. This is not what this is. I'm not here to give you a rigid, punishing Instagram influencer morning routine that makes you feel like a failure by 7 a.m. That's not the championship routine. The championship routine is simple. Structure. Enough structure that when your brain goes sideways, and it will go sideways, your body knows what to do. Your environment knows what to do. Your day has a shape, even when your mind doesn't. Your routine is in the ring ropes. Think about it. The ring ropes serve a specific purpose. They contain the match. They give the wrestler something to bounce off of, something to lean against, something to hold on to. They keep the fight from spilling out in the crowd. Without the ropes, it's just chaos. It's a brawl in an open field with no boundaries and no structure. That's what your routine does for your life. It's the ropes. When mania hits and you feel like you could run in any direction at full speed, the routine says, not yet, it's time to sleep. When depression hits and you feel like you can't move and the routine says, just do the next thing. You know what the next thing is. The routine doesn't cure you, it contains you. And containment in this fight is half the battle. So what does a championship routine look like? Here's the big ones. And I'm not going to get too specific because your routine needs to be yours. But the pillars of the routine are sleep, consistent sleep. I cannot overstate consistent sleep. If you learn one thing from 5 episodes of this podcast, let it be this: protect your sleep. For people with bipolar disorder, disrupted sleep is like pouring gasoline on a fire. Going to bed at roughly the same time, waking up at roughly the same time, guarding those hours, they're sacred. Because they are. Talk to your mental health team about what a healthy sleep routine looks like for you specifically. Movement. I'm not saying you need to become a CrossFit athlete. I'm saying move. Walk, stretch, lift something, swim, dance in your kitchen. Whatever it is, do it consistently. Your body and your brain are connected. When your body moves, your brain gets the message that you're alive, that you're present, that you're in the fight. Meals. Eat on a schedule when possible. I know that sounds basic, but when depression has you in a bed for 3 days, eating becomes optional. And when mania has you going 90 miles an hour, you forget to eat because who needs food when you're invincible, right? Neither of those are okay. Fuel is the machine. And here's the key to it all. Flexibility within structure. Your routine is not a prison. It's a home. It's the safe place you come back to. Some days you'll follow it perfectly. Some days you'll barely manage half of it. That's fine. The point isn't perfection. The point is having something to return to, a baseline, a home base, a place where your body says, I know what to do here. I've been here before. I'm okay. And like, for example, this time of year for me, work-wise, really screws a lot of that up because we're super busy. But during the week especially, the bedtime is around the same, between 9 and 10. Get up at the same time every day, 6 o'clock. Get dressed, cup of coffee, sit at the table with my wife. We do a devotion, play a couple games on my phone. We have a conversation, and we go do the day. And then the work day during this time of year, there is no routine inside of work. But as soon as I'm off of work, the routine after that gets back to the same as always. Eating around the same time, as long as sports isn't going on that day, then that really throws the routine off. But then we're back to it. But pillar 3 is your awareness system. This is the one that separates the good from the great. This is film study. This is watching the tape. Elite athletes study film. Every single one of them. After every game, after every match, after every fight, they sit down and they watch the tape. They study themselves. They know exactly what they look like when they're playing well, and they know exactly what changes when they start slipping. The way their footwork gets lazy, the way their shot selection changes, the way their reaction time drops. They see it before it becomes a problem because they've studied it. They've looked at it. You need to study your tape. But what does that mean for bipolar disorder? It means knowing your tells. It means learning the early warning signs of a manic episode before you're buying a boat you can't afford at 3 a.m. It means recognizing the early signs of a depressive episode before you've been in bed for 4 days. It means tracking your moods, Not obsessively, not anxiously, but consistently, so that you can see the patterns, so that you can say, wait, I've seen this before. I know what comes next. It's time to call an audible. There are practical tools for this. Mood journals, there's apps, check-in routines. You might sit down every evening for 5 minutes and ask yourself, how was my energy today? How was my sleep last night? Am I talking faster than usual? Am I withdrawing from people? Am I spending money in a way that doesn't match my norm? Am I making plans that seem amazing right now but seem insane tomorrow? Those aren't paranoid questions. Those are smart questions. These are the questions a champion asks. And here's the powerful part. When you build an awareness system, you start to see yourself not as a victim of the episodes, but as a student of them. You start to understand your own brain the way a fighter understands their opponent. You learn the setups. You learn the patterns. You learn the sequences. And when you see the setup starting, you can counter it. Not always, not perfectly, but enough to make a difference. Enough to turn a potential crisis into a managed situation. Enough to call your therapist before the episode peak instead of after the wreckage. That's awareness. That's film study. That's the champion's edge. Pillar 4 is your crisis plan. And this one is going to sound like it's going to sound like a contradiction to everything. Everything I've been saying about thriving and building and moving beyond survival, but it's not. It's actually the proof. It's the proof that you embrace the championship mindset. Pillar 4. Like we said, your crisis plan. But I know what you're saying. Wait, you just spent 20 minutes telling me to stop living in survival mode. Now you want me to have a crisis plan. Yes, I do. Because here's the truth that every champion knows. Every champion gets hit with surprise finishers. Think about it. Greatest boxers in history, they train. They prepare. They study. They study their opponent. They have a game plan. And then they get knocked down. Not because they're bad boxers. Not because they didn't prepare, but because that's the sport. You get it. You get hit. It happens. The question isn't whether you'll get knocked down. The question is what happens when you do. Your crisis plan is the answer to that question. It's the plan you make when you're stable so that you know what to do when you're not stable. Because let me tell you something, making good decisions in the middle of a manic or depressive episode is like trying to read a map in a hurricane. The information might be there, but you can't focus on it. You can't process it. You need the plan to already be in place. You need it written down. You need it known by you and by your people. What goes in a crisis plan? Work this out with your mental health team because they can help you make it specific to your situation. But broadly, who to call, what to do first, where to go if you need somewhere it's safe to go, what medications to take as prescribed by your doctors, what behaviors are your red flags, the ones that tell you and your people that an episode is escalating, what boundaries you won't maintain. Like, if I start talking about quitting my job in the middle of the night, please remind me of this plan. I am giving you permission right now, while I'm stable, to hold me accountable. That last part is huge. When you're stable, you can give your tag team the playbook. You can say, here's what I look like when I'm going up. Here's what I look like when I'm going down. And here's what I need you to do. That's not giving up control. That's taking control. That's saying, I know this opponent well enough to know it's going to catch me sometimes, and I'm prepared for that. The crisis plan isn't a sign of failure. It's a sign of wisdom. Fire departments don't exist because people plan to have fires. They exist because fires happen. You don't think the fire department is pessimistic for being prepared, do you? No, you think they're smart. Be your own fire department. Have the plan. Have the equipment. Have the number to call. And pray you don't need it. But be ready if you do. And now the big one. Pillar 5. The one that holds all the others together. The one that without it, the other 4 are just tasks on a checklist. Pillar number 5 is your purpose. Your why. The thing that gets you out of bed in the morning even when your brain is screaming at you to stay down. The thing that makes you take your medication even when you hate how it makes you feel. The thing that makes you call your therapist even when you'd rather isolate. The thing that makes you fight even when the fight feels impossible. Because here's what I've learned. If all you're doing is fighting against bipolar disorder, you will exhaust yourself. Fighting against something is draining. It's endless. It's a war of attrition that wears you down because the opponent never gets tired. Bipolar, it doesn't need to sleep. It doesn't need a day off. If your entire life is organized around fighting this thing, you're going to burn out. You need something to fight for. Your purpose is your championship belt. It's the thing you hold up, the thing you defend, that gives every training session meaning and every match significance. Without it, you're just fighting. But with the belt, you're fighting for something. And your purpose doesn't have to be world-changing. I'm not saying you need to cure a disease or start a nonprofit or become famous. Your purpose might be raising your kids right. Your purpose might be finishing your degree or building a business or making art or being a good partner or simply proving to yourself that you can build a stable, peaceful life. Whatever it is, it's got to be yours, not somebody else's version of success, not society's idea of what your life should look like, yours. When the depression tells you something matters, your purpose says this matters. When the mania tells you to blow up your life and start over, your purpose says, I'm not done building here. When the shame tells you you're not worth the effort, your purpose says, watch me. Find your purpose, name it, write it down, tape it to your mirror, make it the wallpaper on your phone, and on the days when everything else is falling apart, when the routine is broken, when the awareness system failed, when the crisis plan has kicked in, your purpose is the thing that pulls forward. It's the anchor in the storm. It's the championship belt that says this fight means something. I'm fighting for something bigger than this episode. 5 pillars: mental health team, routine, awareness, crisis plan, and purpose. Build all 5. Maintain all 5. And you've got a structure that can hold up under anything bipolar throws at you. Okay, I know just a random sports car noise just pops up. But I've been meaning to do something like that because I know going throughout the other episodes, it's almost like we're shifting gears in the middle of it. And I was like, I need something to throw in there to let the listener know that, hey, we're switching up for a second. So that's what we do now. So we just built the structure, okay? The 5 pillars, the external architect of a championship life. But here's what I know about buildings. You can have the strongest walls in the world, and if the foundation is cracked, the whole thing is coming down. And the foundation is your mind, your mindset, the way you think about yourself, about your diagnosis, about your future. So let's go inside. Let's talk about the mental framework, the ways of thinking that separate people who merely survive with bipolar from the people who thrive for it. Framework number 1, identity beyond diagnosis. This is the first one because it's the one that everyone else sits on top of. And I'm going to say something I need you to tattoo on your brain because it might be the most important thing I say in all 5 episodes. If you're not bipolar, I'm sorry, you are not bipolar, you have bipolar. That sounds like a small distinction, but it's not, it's everything. When you say I am bipolar, you're making the disorder your identity. You're fusing with it. You're telling yourself and the world that this condition is the totality of who you are, and that's a lie. A dangerous, destructive, limiting lie. A basketball player is not their knee injury. A quarterback is not their torn ACL. The injury is something they have, something they deal with, and something that affects how they play, sure, but it's not who they are. They're a basketball player who has a knee injury, or they're a quarterback who tore their ACL. The identity comes first, the condition, it comes second. You are a person, a full, complex human being who has bipolar disorder. You are also a parent, a sibling, a friend, a worker, a creator, a dreamer, a fighter, a lover, a thinker. You are 100 different things, and bipolar is just one of them. An important one? Yeah. A significant one? Absolutely. The defining one? Only if you let it be. And I'll tell you, the world is going to try to make it your defining trait. People are going to look at you and see the diagnosis before they see the person. That's their problem, not yours. Your job is to be so much more than the diagnosis that it becomes a footnote to a headline. Not because you're hiding it. We already talked about it in episode 1. You're not hiding anything, but you're also not letting one chapter define your entire book. Framework number 2, progress over perfection. This one is gonna set some of you free, so listen up. Stop looking for the cure. There isn't one. Not right now. Maybe someday, but right now, today, as I'm speaking and you're listening, there is no cure for bipolar disorder. And chasing a cure as your goal will destroy you, because you'll spend your whole life running toward a finish line that doesn't exist yet. But there is something. There's management. There's growth. There's getting better at this fight every single day. There's going from having an episode knock you out for 6 weeks to having it knock you out for 4. There's going from zero awareness of your triggers to knowing 5 of them by heart. There's going from total isolation to having 2 people you can call at 3 a.m. That's progress. And progress is enough. Progress is more than enough. Progress is the whole game. Perfection says I shouldn't have episodes anymore. Progress says I handled that episode better than the last one. Perfection says I need to be stable all the time. Progress says, you know what, I recovered faster this time. Perfection says I should be normal. Progress says I'm getting better at being me. You see the difference? Perfection is a prison. Progress is a path. And that path doesn't go straight up. It zigs, it zags, it dips, it doubles back sometimes. But the overall trajectory over months, over years, over a lifetime is up. And that's all you need. Not a straight line, just a direction. Framework number 3. And this one is borrowed from the world of elite performance. So you know it's legit. I call it the 1% rule. Every day, get 1% better at managing your life with bipolar disorder. That's it. Not 100% better, not even 10% better, just 1%. 1% better at recognizing your triggers. 1% better at communicating with your partner. 1% better at sticking to your routine. 1% better at reaching out when you need help. 1% better at taking your medication consistently. 1% better at forgiving yourself for the bad days. I know 1% doesn't sound like much. It sounds almost insulting, right? Like that's nothing, but here's the math. And the math doesn't lie. If you get 1% better every day after a month, you're roughly 30% better. After 6 months, you're a fundamentally different fighter. After a year, you wouldn't recognize the person you were 12 months ago. Not because you had some miraculous breakthrough. Not because the clouds parted and the angels sang, but because you showed up day after day and got a tiny bit better each time. And tiny improvements compounded over time produce massive results. That's not motivational fluff. That's mathematics. That's how championship dynasties are built. Framework number 4, falling forward. You're going to fall. I need to say that plainly. You're going to have bad episodes. You're going to relapse. You're going to have days where everything you've built, the routine, the awareness, the team, the purpose, all of it feels like it's crumbling. You're going to have days where you look in the mirror and think, what's the point? Those days are coming, not because you're weak, not because your system doesn't work, but because that's the nature of this opponent. Bipolar disorder is unpredictable, even with the best coaching, the best training, the best game plan. Sometimes the opponent catches you with something you didn't see coming. That's the sport. And pretending otherwise is just setting yourself up for devastation when it happens. So the question isn't whether you'll fall. The question is, which direction do you fall? Do you fall forward, toward your people, towards your tools, towards your therapist, towards your crisis plan, towards your help? Or do you fall backward into isolation and shame and silence and pretending everything is fine when it's not? Falling forward means that even your setbacks move you in the right direction. You fail, but you fail towards something that can catch you. You fail, but you fail closer to help, not farther from it. And that means even your worst days contribute to the overall trajectory. Even the falls become part of the forward motion. The greatest wrestlers I've ever watched, they didn't have perfect matches. They had matches where things went wrong. Real injuries, botched spots, timing that was off. But you know what the best ones did? They adapted. A botched move became a storytelling moment. A real injury became part of the narrative. The crowd didn't know the difference because the wrestler was so skilled at turning mistakes into moments that the mistake actually made the match better. That's the championship. That's the champion's mindset. Everything is material. Everything is usable, even the falls. And framework number 5, and this might be the most important of all, the anti-shame philosophy. I want to talk about the real opponent for a minute because I've been calling bipolar disorder your opponent this whole series. And it is, but bipolar has a tag team partner. An invisible, devastating tag team partner that does more than damage the disorder itself. And that partner's name is shame. Shame is the real enemy. Shame is the thing that keeps you quiet. Shame is the thing that keeps you hiding. Shame is the voice that says, don't tell anyone. They'll think you're crazy. They'll think you're dangerous. They'll treat you differently. They'll look at you with pity or fear or disgust. Shame is the cage match within the cage match. It's the opponent you fight while you're already fighting somebody else. And shame, guess what? Shame is a liar. Shame tells you that you're defective. You're not. Shame tells you that you're needing help makes you weak. It doesn't. Shame tells you that nobody else understands. But guess what they do? Shame tells you that you'll never be normal. And here's my answer to that. Who wants to be normal? Normal is a setting on a washing machine. Normal isn't a life goal. Normal has never won a championship in the history of anything. The championship mindset says, I'm not ashamed of my fight. I'm proud that I'm still fighting. The championship mindset says, I don't need to hide my diagnosis to be respected. I don't need to pretend to be someone I'm not to be valued. I am who I am. I fight what I fight, and I'm still standing. Athletes talk about this now. Some of the greatest athletes of our generations have spoken publicly about their mental health. And you know what happened? It didn't destroy their legacy. It expanded it. It made people connect with them on a deeper level. It gave other athletes permission to seek help. It changed the culture because when someone you admire stands up and says, I struggle too, it shatters the illusion that strength means silence. Strength was never silence. Strength is honesty. Strength is vulnerability with purpose. Strength is saying, this is my fight and I'm not hiding from it. So here's your anti-shame mantra. Say it to yourself. Say it out loud if you can. Say it until you believe it. My mental health is part of my story, not the end of my story. And I refuse to be ashamed of a fight I didn't choose but continue to show up for. That's the champion's mindset. Identity beyond diagnosis. Progress over perfection. The 1% rule. Falling forward. And the anti-shame philosophy. 5 frameworks, 5 mental shifts, 5 ways of thinking that transform your relationship with bipolar disorder from an endless war into a manageable fight you can win. Not once, not permanently, but daily. Daily victories. That's the game. So this part right here, I've been thinking about it for weeks. This is the part I wrote and rewrote and threw away and wrote again. This is the part that matters the most. Not the frameworks or the strategies or the pillars and the counts and the acronyms. This part, the personal part, the part where I stop being the host and I start being just Jay. I spent 5 episodes behind this microphone telling you how to fight, telling you about your opponent, and telling you about the strategies and the team and the mindset. And I meant every single word, every single word. But right now, in this moment, I don't want to teach you anything. I just want to talk to you person to person, fighter to fighter. If this was a Hall of Fame speech, and that's how I've been thinking about it, because that's the energy I want. If this were a Hall of Fame speech, this is the part where the inductee gets emotional and where they stop reading from the teleprompter and just speak from the chest, where the audience gets quiet because they can feel something real happening. That's where I am right now. I want to talk to some specific people, and I know I'm talking into a microphone in a garage. I know you're listening through earbuds or speakers or your car stereo, but I need you to feel like I'm looking at you, because I am, in my mind. I can see every single person who made it to this episode, and I'm looking at you right now. To the person who almost didn't press play on episode 1, the person who saw the title and almost scrolled past and almost said, "That's not for me," almost put the walls up, but something made you click. Something made you listen, and you're still here 5 parts later, still listening. That took courage. The kind of courage that nobody celebrates because nobody knows. They don't know about it. But I know about it. And I'm telling you right now, that click, that first click, that was the beginning of something. That was the first step down the ramp. And look how far you've walked. To the person who cried during episode 3, the episode about depression, the one where we went into the darkness, I know you cried because I might have cried a little too. I know you cried because some of what I said hit a place inside you that you'd been protecting, and a wound you'd been covering up, maybe a truth you've been avoiding, and when you heard it said out loud by somebody else, by a stranger on a podcast, well, the dam broke. And maybe you felt embarrassed about it. Maybe you wiped your eyes and looked around to make sure nobody saw. But I need you to know those tears were not weakness. Those tears were the sound of walls coming down. And those tears were the beginning of healing. And I'm honored. I'm honored that you trusted me enough to let them fall. To the person who called someone they love after episode 4, the one about the tag team, the one about relationships and support and reaching out. Maybe you called your mom or texted your best friend, or maybe you sat down with your partner and said, "I need to talk to you about something." Maybe you finally made that therapy appointment you've been putting off for months. Whatever it was, whoever you reached out to, that was the hot tag. That was the moment you stopped fighting alone, and I promise you that phone call meant more to the person on the other end than you'll ever know, because the people who love you, they've been standing on the ring apron with their hands stretched out for a long time. They've been waiting for you to tag them in. And when you finally did, that was their moment too. To the person who's been living with bipolar disorder for decades, the veteran, the lifer, the person who was diagnosed before this podcast existed, before social media existed, before anyone was having public conversations about mental health, you've been in the fight for years. And you've done it with less support, less understanding, and less visibility than the people coming up now. You paved the road, and you did it without a map. I see you, and I respect you. And I want you to know your fight was not in vain. Every year you survived made it a little easier for the person who came after you. You're the OG. You're the legend. You're the one who proved it could be done. And to the person who just got diagnosed, the one who's hearing all this for the first time, and you're feeling overwhelmed, the one who doesn't know what's ahead and is terrified, I saved you for last because I need you to hear this. It gets manageable. I'm not going to tell you it gets easy because I'm not a liar, but it gets manageable. You learn the opponent, you build the team, you develop the systems, and one day, not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day, you're going to wake up and realize that you're not just surviving anymore, you're living. And that day is going to feel like the greatest championship victory of your life, I promise you. That day is coming. Just stay in the ring long enough to see it. The inner heel turn, let me just tell you what it really means. Because I've been using the phrase a lot in this 5 parts. All the other 10 episodes before that, it was just an introduction and an outro. But in these 5, I've really been using it, and I want to make sure you really understand what I'm saying when I say it. And wrestling, a heel turn is when a good guy becomes a bad guy, when they turn on the crowd, and when they grab the microphone and say, I'm done being who you want me to be. I'm going to be who I want to be. And the crowd boos, and the commentators act shocked, and, the storyline shifts. The inner heel turn is different. The inner heel turn is when you turn on the story the world wrote for you. It's when you reject the narrative that says you're broken, you're damaged, you're less than, you're defined by your diagnosis. It's when you stand up, grab the microphone, and say, I'm writing this story now, and it doesn't end with me losing. That's the inner heel turn. It's not about becoming the villain. It's about becoming the author. It's about taking control of your narrative. It's about refusing to let anyone, not your diagnosis, not society, not shame, not fear, not the voice in your head that says you can't make it, refuse to let anyone else hold the pen. You write the story. You decide how the chapters go. You determine whether this thing beats you or whether you build something beautiful in spite of it. That's your choice. That's your power. That's your inner heel turn. And I have to say this because it's important and because I'd be irresponsible if I didn't. And I don't think I said it last episode. But I'm not a mental health professional. This podcast is not therapy. These episodes are not a substitute for professional care. Everything I've said over these 5 parts, the frameworks, the metaphors, the advice, it all works alongside professional help, not instead of it. So please, if you're living with bipolar disorder, work with your doctor, work with your therapist, work with your psychiatrist, take your medication as prescribed, keep your appointments, be honest with your treatment team. The work we're doing here, the mindset work, the motivation, the community is complementary. It's the training montage between the fights. But the actual corner team, that's the professionals. Don't let a podcast, even a really good one, replace the people who are trained to help you. If you're in a crisis right now, talk to somebody. Reach out to a crisis line. Call a friend. Go to an emergency room. Do whatever you need to do to stay safe. The rest of this can wait. The podcast will be here tomorrow. The episodes aren't going anywhere. Take care of yourself first, always. So here we are. 5 episodes, 5 fights, 1 truth. You're stronger than any diagnosis. You're stronger than any episode. You're stronger than any voice in your head that says you can't make it. You are stronger than the mania that tries to lift you so high that the fall destroys you. You are stronger than the depression that tries to bury you so deep that you forgot what the sun looks like. You are stronger than the shame that tries to silence you. You are stronger than the fear that tries to freeze you. You are stronger than the loneliness that tries to convince you that nobody understands, nobody cares, and nobody is coming. People are coming. People are here. I'm here, and I need you to hear me when I say that last one. You make it. You are making it. Right now, right this second, by listening, by caring, by still being in this fight, you are making it. Now think about what I've built in these last 5 episodes. And honestly, I'm kind of in awe of it. Not because of me. I just talked into a microphone. I'm in awe of you. The people who listened. The ones who shared it. The people who sent me messages saying, this saved me. I don't take it lightly. I will never take that lightly. When someone tells you that your words kept them alive for one more day, that changes you. That rewrites your story too. And my story now includes all of you. Every listener, every fighter, every person who refused to tap out. I started this in the dark, really. And episode 1 was about facing something terrifying, a diagnosis that changed everything, and for 4 episodes, we walked through that darkness together. We mapped it, we named the monsters, we learned the terrain, we built the tools and teams and framework and philosophies, and now here we are, part 5. We're walking out of the other side. Not into some perfect, painless, everything is fixed fantasy land. No, we're walking out into the real world, the messy, complicated, beautiful, brutal, real world. The world where you have bipolar disorder and a job and a family and dreams and fears and bills and love and heartbreak and morning coffee and midnight worries and all of it tangled up together in this impossible, miraculous thing called being alive. And you're doing it. You're in it. You're not on the sidelines. You're not in the crowd. You're in the ring. You've been in the ring this whole time and you're not leaving. Let me tell you how the greatest Iron Man matches end. Not ones in the textbook, the ones that matter. The ones people talk about for decades. They end with both competitors on their feet, both of them battered, both of them exhausted, both of them having given everything they have, every ounce of strength, every drop of energy, every bit of heart. The clock has run out, the final bell is rung, and they're standing. Not because they feel strong, not because they have anything left, but because they refuse to be on their backs when the bell rings. They want to be standing. Looking the opponent in the eye saying, you gave me everything you had, and I'm still here. That's your life. That's the Iron Man match. And yeah, the bell doesn't ring on this one. There's no clock counting down. It's a lifetime match. And some days that feels impossible. Some days you look at the clock and think, how much more do I have to do this? And the answer is all of it. Every day for the rest of your life. But you know what? I'd rather have a lifetime of fighting than a single moment of giving up, because the fight is where the life is. The fight is where the growth is, where the love is. The fight is where the moments are. The moments that make it all worth it. The laugh you didn't expect, the hug you needed, the sunrise you almost missed, the text from a friend that said just checking on you, the quiet Tuesday afternoon where nothing happened and everything was okay and you realized, this is what I'm fighting for. This. Those moments don't happen if you quit. Those moments don't exist outside the ring. Those moments are a reward for staying in the fight. And they're waiting for you. Tomorrow and the day after and the day after that. So here's my call to action. And then I'm going to let you go. But I need you to do this. Share these episodes. I'm serious. If these 5 episodes meant something to you, if even one moment, one sentence, or one metaphor connected with you, then share it. Share it with someone who needs it. Post it. Text it. Email it. Play it in the car with someone sitting next to you. Be somebody's hot tag. Be the person who reaches your hand over the rope and says, tag me in, let me help. Because there are people out there right now, people you know, people you don't know, who are fighting this alone. They're in the ring by themselves, no corner team, no tag partner, no one in their car saying, you got this. And maybe if they hear this, something shifts, something clicks, something that was closed opens up just a crack. And through that crack comes a little bit of light. And that light is enough to make a phone call, enough to make a doctor's appointment. It's enough to say one more day. You could be the person who delivers that light. You could be someone's episode 1, someone's cold open, someone's first step down the ramp. Don't underestimate the power of sharing something that matters. In a world full of noise, a signal that says you're not alone is the most powerful broadcast there is. So this has been the Inner Heel Turn. And I need you to know something. I don't know you, well, most of you. We've never met. And I'll probably never see your face. I'll never shake your hand probably, and we'll probably never sit across from each other, and I'll never actually hear your story. But I know you. I know you because I am you. I fight the fight you fight, and I walk the road you walk. I know the darkness and the light and everything in between. And from that place of knowing, from that place of shared experience and shared struggle and shared refusal to quit, I want to say this. I will never stop fighting for you. Not because it's my job, not because it makes me money, not because it builds my platform, because you're my people. You're my family. You're the community that this show was built for. And as long as there's one person out there listening, one person who needs to hear the fight is worth fighting, one person who needs to know that they're not alone in this ring, I will be behind this microphone. I will be in your corner. I will be reaching my hand over that rope. Stay in the ring. Always stay in the ring. So I'm so grateful for every single one of you, for every listen, every share, every message, every moment you spent with me in this space. You gave me your time, and time is the only thing in this life you can't get back. So thank you. From the bottom of my heart, from the deepest part of my soul, thank you for trusting me with your time and your truth. This has been the Inner Heel Turn podcast. Until next time, don't know what direction we're going after this because I put a lot of time in these 5 parts, as you can tell by the jump in episode links. I put a lot into it. But until then, keep the Inner Heel Turn energy alive. Stay in the ring. Always stay in the ring. Do you like to travel? Of course you do. And stop getting played like everybody else. Retail travel has been working you for years. They're charging full price while laughing behind the curtain. But the wholesale team at the LNS Travel Service flips the whole script. They have unlimited trips, 5-star hotels at 2-star prices, over 1 million weekly stays for pennies on the dollar. And this isn't a discount. This is the cheat code the big sites hope you never find. So turn your life into a highlight reel of ridiculous experiences without breaking the bank. Travel smarter, travel more, pay less, the Heel way. So text "Show Me" in your name to 844-524-5425. Once again, "Show Me" in your name to 844-524-5425. And from now until the 23rd, May the 23rd, anyone who enrolls in a Titan membership, LNS Travel will be giving $50, and anyone who rolls into a Platinum membership, they will be getting $100. Their terms, you must enroll as a partner, active, and has to stay active for 15 days. So go check them out. Tell them we sent you.